Down the slope, I'm Ewan, and we've got a full house as we are on to our, can we call it third episode of the week? Because we released the Big Kids one last Tuesday, 3 in 7 days. Harry, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right, but like with everybody in, you can when like the pandemic kind of eased off a bit and everybody started getting on buses and trains again, and you were like kind of in these enclosed spaces with loads of people. After that chilled sesh with Liam last week, it just feels like there's too many people in here, mate.
Yeah, me and Greg just drop off again. Greg, we know where we're not wanted, mate.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll let Specky and Spicy take the lead on this one.
No, but I'm all right, thanks. I'm all right.
I don't know how I came up with that title, but that was class, to be fair.
That was Liam. All Liam.
I was going to say, that's all Liam.
You had mate Specky.
Liam, how you?
Love you, Harry.
I'm doing all right. I think that's what you're about to ask me. I'm doing all right. Thank you for asking.
I did ask. And Greg, how are you, my man?
Not bad, mate. Not bad at all. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right, mate. Aye, I'm good.
I pretend to care. Let's get it moving.
Last minute day annual leave tomorrow, so I'm in a good mood. Last day.
For summer.
I had a day to take between now and the end of March, so why not? Right, Hibs now, Celtic now. Harry, we'll come to you first. Let's try and be as chronological as possible. Team news. You weren't that impressed potentially before the game with Drey starting over Muller?
Like, see, I think to be fair, compared to most of the fan base, I think I'm relatively a happy clapper when it comes to Drey. I try to give him as much an opportunity as possible.
Get a happy clapper.
I think this season, I don't think he's done much wrong. And I think if we got him in the summer, I don't think that he would have as bad a rap as he's got. But I thought Muller would start. I just think it was the obvious play. But I think on the basis of how Drey turned out, I was proven wrong because I thought he had quite a good game. Apart from that, the rest of his team, well, I think Liam tweeted about it, had like 10 first team injuries. So he done well to get a team out of that, to be fair.
Aye, Greg, same question to you, really. I think you were probably surprised with Drey starting over Muller. Was it just too defensive maybe to start for you, or?
Just going to pull Harry up on saying the word play when it's not required. This isn't American football. Despite what Spotify might class us as.
What was the context?
You said it wasn't the right play or something. That's because you've been listening to too much stuff at the halftime. But yeah, to be honest, I don't know if it was tactical or if Maloney just wanted to shut people up, to be honest, because he made a big deal of it. But I wasn't overly bothered with the team, to be fair. There's only so much you can do. I wasn't overly bothered with Drey, to be fair, because I think that he is maybe that slightly more defensive than Muller. And in actual fact, we probably could have done with that yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I was worried that they were going to run us over in the midfield.
Yeah.
How you go, Liam? You can add to that.
No other changes? Did that surprise you?
Nah, not really, because I don't really think there was any people to bring in. Fucking happens when you got nine first team players out. You know what? Someone should have tweeted that right over Muller was a bad decision, because I didn't see that enough on Hibs Twitter yesterday. I also didn't see enough people going back and correcting themselves when they blatantly got it wrong, because Drey was probably the best player in the park for the period that he was on the pitch, and Chris Muller stunk the gaff out when he came on. So maybe people should maybe look back on their tweets after they sent them and recognise that they maybe got it wrong. A lot of people who probably given Drey an unnecessarily hard time this season. For me, he's not done anything wrong. He was good yesterday.
Yeah, I thought he was really good yesterday. In the first half, I thought he was a standout performer, if I'm honest. I seen some shouts when the team was released that it was like, oh, it's the worst Hibs team, and oh, we're gonna get punted 5-0 and whatnot. And I've just noticed, Harry, a total sidetrack. Why the fuck is your name on this Zoom call, Ewan Wilson?
Oh, I'm signing into your account, mate.
No.
Reloader.
I see there was a few people tweeting saying it was the worst Hibs team they've seen in that. Like, there was one change for the weekend before.
Can I just come on that, right? Just to make a point here. People like to shout a lot before the game, right? And I know we probably do it in the chat, but people put their opinions out there, and then get awful defensive when people call them out on it. See, if you don't want to be called out, don't tweet shit.
If you don't want to be called out, if you don't
Don't tweet.
if you don't want to be called out, don't record a podcast every Monday night.
Well, you're still getting a hard time for Sean Mack and he's leaving at the club. So, but yeah, I just think that people need to just behave themselves.
Yeah.
And also, a shout out to Josh Campbell. To be fair, I've absolutely lambasted the laddie, and I thought he was good yesterday. To be fair, I thought he done very well in the midfield. Yes, I think that's probably fair. To be honest, I think he was pretty good. I just hope he can kick on for you. Nobody wants to see Hibs players do badly. We've all call out when they do bad, but I think credit when it's due. I thought he was good yesterday.
While we're on apologies, can I apologise to Matt Macy? I know for the first episode, it's probably about the third or fourth in a row. Matt Macy's had a good game. He only kicked the ball straight at the pitch once yesterday, which is a massive improvement. I'm not saying that tongue in cheek at all. It's a massive improvement from earlier on in the season. I think his kicking's improved. He made some good takes in there, and that one particular where he came off his line was good too. So well done.
Does anyone think it's a coincidence that the new goalie coach has come in?
That had been on my radar for a wee while, to be honest. I think the timing of it, Hibs maybe released it a wee while after it actually happened. But with the timings and stuff, I'm not sure aligned. But John Bush for the Chicago Fire. Shout out to the new goalie coach. Anyway, let's move on.
Right. I actually thought Hibs started the game okay. I thought Hibs started the game okay, Liam. What did you make of that sort of opening 10 minutes? I know Celtic did maybe have a chance in the first minute or so. I thought after that we settled well.
I felt we did settle quite well into the game. Caveat that I missed the first 5 minutes because traffic in Edinburgh. Shout out to Edinburgh City Council. I felt we did settle into the game. I felt like for that first half hour we were really quite in control, to be honest. In control without creating good chances and getting into really good positions. I felt as though we probably got the better of the midfield battle. There was 3, maybe 4 times extremely frustratingly where Celtic stopped a counter-attack with a very clever foul that Kevin Clancy seemed determined to let go unpunished for the majority of the game yesterday, which is quite interesting. I'm sure we'll come on to talk about that. But first half hour was really good from our point of view.
Yeah. Just, Greg, seen in that opening half an hour that Liam's talking about, I thought Kevin Nisbet was really, really good. Just probably goes on. Was it last? I can't remember if it was either the episode that Harry and Liam recorded or if it was when we were with Ben. Liam said he just needs the goals to go in. And again, I thought in the first half hour yesterday, he's seen the more rounded side to Nisbet's game.
Yeah, he is a very rounded player. I think that's maybe part of his detriment with the Hibs fans, that they can't understand that he's got more in his locker than just scoring goals. Although it helps, I think he is a very well-rounded player. He can pass the ball. He's got a good range of passing. He can hold it up. But ultimately, that was his downfall yesterday. That's an absolute shocking tackle, really. It's absolutely nowhere near it. And to be honest, I just hope that the injury isn't as bad as what it looks like. But he left his foot on crutches yesterday, which usually tells its own story. But that's an absolute shocking tackle, to be honest. He's just cleaned him out through the back. And
for me, that ties in with what Liam's just said. That was around, I'm guessing, the half-hour mark. And that was their second book-in, maybe. I think Roger got booked just before it or just after, one of the two.
Was it you that tweeted the bookings and the fouls? I mean, do you know what?
There is obviously context to that, and I didn't put the context on it on the tweet because that's not what Twitter's about. Twitter isn't about.
That doesn't suit your agenda. To be honest, people tweet tweets that don't suit their agenda at the time, so don't worry about it.
But yeah,
also just while we're on Twitter, anyone with a blue Hibs badge, don't talk to me. To be honest,
but
virtue signalling at its finest.
But Hibs committed 9 fouls yesterday and got booked 5 times. Celtic gave away 16 fouls and were booked twice. And there was obviously, when you tweet about Celtic and fouls, it makes its way onto Rangers Twitter, which means it makes its way onto Celtic Twitter. and Celtic fans started talking about context and stuff. Well, Cameron Carter-Vickers should have been booked because Jasper was in behind him and running into the box. Callum McGregor should have been booked inside 2-3 minutes because he stopped a counter attack. So there's another two.
I mean, so there's 16 fouls, which means that.
So even if you like,
ultimately, on average, some players have committed more than one foul, so consistent fouling.
Yep.
And I'm sure Hibs players committed one foul and got booked.
And it was interesting. Maloney referenced it after the game, saying Celtic. It must be something they do. Must be something they do in every game, because he said Celtic always break the game up when the other team counter by making fouls. I think I might be wrong here, but I want to say it's been something that's been levelled at Pep Guardiola's City's team as well. It's probably smart making fouls in the right areas of the park, but I don't understand why persistent fouling has to be persistent fouling by one player. Why can it not? You know, none of us are rugby fans here, but I know in rugby, the ref will say to them, the next foul is a sin bin or whatever it is. Why can that not be implemented in football? So what? Everyone gets to make a foul before. Like it was borderline ridiculous yesterday. I think
to be fair, just to come in on that, I think that's the referees don't want to do that because it seems like they've lost control of the game. So they'll just start booking players, even if others are persistently fouling. They'll just start booking players for their first foul because they've not got control of the game. So Kevin Clancy's never had control of a game in his puff, so nothing new there.
Yeah. Harry, the first half in general, we've spoke about the first half hour there. Nisbet then got injured. It felt like pretty much from the moment he went off, I felt really comfy in the game until Nisbet went off, and then it was like a flip got switched when he went off and Celtic took control of the first half.
Yeah, I don't really think there was a point where we looked uncomfortable. I think we looked comfortable in the game before Nisbet went off, and I don't think we looked too far off it afterwards. I think we saw less of the ball because I think Nisbet in recent weeks, because he's been tracking back a bit deeper, he's actually been doing quite a good job of retaining the ball. And I hate the word recycling in football, but it's used quite a lot, and I think it makes sense in the context of what Nisbet does in the team. I think for the most part we sat quite deep, and with Doidge it felt like we sat even deeper, and that's why Celtic kind of came at us a bit more. But yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming we won the coin toss and got Celtic to shoot towards their fans in the first half. I think that's really smart because Celtic are a team that kind of feed off momentum, and the fact that they didn't have that momentum with shooting towards their own fans in the second half, I think was it's small things like that you can't give too much plaudits for, but I think that's a really smart tactical move.
Can I just speaking? I think I maybe sent a message to you guys maybe at half time. What for me when Nisbet plays, he gets the ball into feet, he gets it into his chest, he holds it up and tries to find someone, take a touch and pass. It's never really a flick on. And there's sort of two parts to this. See when a player tries to bounce it off him first time but uses his foot and it misses someone by a yard, the crowd go mental. But see when Christian Doidge comes on and he just wins a header and it goes aimlessly nowhere near fucking anyone, it's everyone else's fault. Why is it that using your head's different for using another part of your body? But then more importantly, do you think we were set up to play off second balls being coming back deep, and maybe we didn't have the players on the park that would work with Doidge, because it was more flick-ons? Anyone?
I mean, I don't know. I think that it's difficult because Doidge is limited. He's not going to be the type of striker that gets the ball on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of need to adapt the game plan. If that's not the game plan, you need to adapt to almost have runners off him. To be honest, I thought we were good up until the final third yesterday. I'll just say it, we didn't have any shots on target. For me, that's poor. I think we've created chances in recent weeks and not scored goals. Bit of a cliche, but if you don't even create chances, you're not going to score. So that was one element yesterday that frustrated me. I don't know what you guys think of that though.
I think the tweet. I was running the Twitter yesterday for us. Like, I can excuse lack of chances created when you are missing players. When you're up against a team like Celtic who haven't dropped points since the 22nd of December, a team that trounced us at Easter Road, in November, December time. Like, I think when you see the efforts there from the players, and I don't necessarily think yesterday it was we tried. I think we probed decent enough, and then I thought we were decent on the ball. But you're right, there was something lacking in the final third, whether that was a Ewan Henderson or whether that was a Muller for the full game or Nisbet going off. I'll be honest, I think if Kevin Nisbet played 90 minutes yesterday, we would have won. I believe that.
Well, just to caveat that, some defensive performance, to be fair. You know, it was bodies on the line stuff at the time, and to be honest, that's what you want. You know, you want your defenders to really step up. We were a bit concerned about Porteous, obviously, with the stuff in the news last week. I'm sure we'll come on to talk about that in more depth, but I thought he was exceptional, to be fair. You know, he really is a £5 million player when he's like that.
Yeah.
You know, the boy just has football in him. He's defensively good. His stats must be very, very good this season, to be fair. So a big shout out to him, and to be fair, he must have to be managed the whole way through the week by Maloney or whatever. So yeah, real team effort yesterday. Disappointed not to have a shot on target level, but there's mitigating factors there. So.
Liam, Harry, what's your thoughts on Greg's question around the no shots on target? Where do you land on that?
Well, to be fair, having no shots on target is never going to be acceptable. I don't think at any level of the game. But I don't think that means we've had a bad performance. As you say, it was kind of a thrown together team, and I don't think that it would be our decided starting 11, especially after Nisbet went off. I'm hoping that this can kind of squash the Nisbet needs drop, Nisbet's not good enough, because Nisbet is one of our best players, whether Twitter likes to believe it or not.
Whether we like it or not, I think that's coming for a substantial period of time.
Yeah, I just think, Twitter's stupid. But yeah, no, if someone said to me before the game, would you take 0-0, I'd have bitten your hand off. I messaged my mate Martin, who's a Celtic fan, and said, please don't put 6 past us. Like, that was kind of the vibe before the game. So the fact that we held them to very few chances, and we had a shot in the second half that was debatably going on target before someone saved it, but we can talk about that when we talk about the second half stuff. But yeah, I'm not best pleased about the fact we didn't have shots on target, but I'm not worried about it. If we had a full strength team and didn't, then it definitely would be raising flags for me.
Yourself, Liam, in that final third, what was lacking yesterday?
Just, I think probably outside that first half an hour, just lacking getting into that space with any number of bodies there. Like, I don't think you can really put it down the final ball, because I can't really remember too many occasions where we even got to the position of being in a sort of final ball opportunity, if you want to call it that. I also think that we took off Wright and brought Muller on. I think we kind of went backwards in terms of what we were offering, both with and without the ball. Don't think it was a great substitution, if I'm being honest. That might be in some context there that I don't know about. You know, potentially Drey Wright struggling beyond that tunnel period.
I think he did go straight down the tunnel.
Fair enough. Yeah, maybe he was struggling. And Doige has been pretty blunt for quite a long time now. He didn't really do a huge amount with the ball. He put in a shift and won some headers. Pressed well from the front. I think he had the job of pressing the 2 centre backs at times yesterday, which is quite a difficult task sometimes for a centre forward, particularly if he's not been playing a lot of minutes. I think he did that okay, but with the ball, I think he's not looked the same player since his injury, unfortunately.
As we moved into the second half, right, Celtic definitely took control of the game. It felt like, although I would agree with what you said there, Greg, about the defence were really, really good. Until late on, I never felt under too much pressure, but I think Celtic did have the better of the game. Were you impressed, though, with how the midfield stood up to Celtic's midfield? Again, we've seen it against them at Easter Road. Was it November? Was it November? And they battered us. We went in there with Josh Campbell, Lewis Stevenson, and Jake Doyle-Hayes. The second half, we probably played less football, but for me, it was almost more impressive from the midfield three. I did say Greg, but he's looking as if he never heard it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, look, we know that Hatate, McGregor, and Rogic have got so much ability in them. That was my concern going into the game, that they might steamroll us or just play through us at will. But I think those three were aggressive. The Hibs three were aggressive in the press. They were aggressive closing down. they were aggressive in the way that they went after Celtic as well. I think they weren't just there to stop Celtic playing; they were there to play themselves. And I think that, to be honest, it was just a very impressive all-round performance from the midfield. Very makeshift, but yeah, to be honest, it was one. It was really concerning me because Tati is some player. He really is. He's a very, very good player.
Good shite yesterday.
Yeah, yes, he wasn't great, but to be fair,
Hibs as well.
I think Hibs probably limited them to not being able to play the way they wanted to and frustrated them at every opportunity. So, I mean, Postecoglou can sit there and act like Hibs were a defensive team, or can say what he wants. To be honest, I really don't care. He actually went down on my estimations after yesterday and the sort of disregard and disrespect he showed to Hibs, because I thought we deserved all the respect and the praise that we could get, because for me, we went toe to toe with them and they couldn't break us down.
Well, that's it. He says that Hibs just sat with players behind the ball, and if you listen to Sports Sound after the game, I don't know if any of you did, Greg. I know you were obviously, you definitely didn't. But you would have thought Hibs just sat there for 90 minutes with 11 bodies on the line. And I actually watched Sports Scene back this morning, and they actually done a really good piece about Hibs on the ball and how we were playing out with a purpose. We were doing it at speed, and in the second half, maybe that did drop a little bit. Liam, do you think we've done more with 39% possession yesterday than we did with the 55-60 that we had at Celtic Park? Is that maybe a difference?
Maybe overall, but I don't think there was a chance as good as the chance that happened for Nisbet early on at Celtic Park. Maybe overall we did more with it. I felt like yesterday a lot of the times when we were keeping the ball, it was as much about frustrating Celtic and just try to break out as it was anything else. And Cadden and Jasper and at times Drey Wright too offered us quite a lot in terms of that kind of counter-attacking ability. As I said at the start, a lot of it was kind of dampened a bit by Celtic's kind of persistent fouling. I think people get really hung up on possession stats now because it's kind of been highlighted, and I think you're seeing some games where like Celtic had 82% possession, I think, against Dundee last weekend at Celtic Park, and that's fucking. I mean, that's even in any walk of life, that's fucking absolutely crazy. But then I think the context is there that Dundee are a team struggling who are probably really happy to give up possession, whereas we would probably expect to have a bit more of the ball, whether it's at Celtic Park or Easter Road, I would think. I think the point I'm trying to make is ultimately I think we are still a team, and I think in some respects Michael Stewart's comments on Sports Sound were fair. I have heard them today because I think we are still a team that's trying to find its identity. I don't disagree with that because I don't think the players that we've got match up with the identity that we want to have. So I think that's, in some ways, it's totally justified because I don't think we are a possession-based team or a counter-attacking team. We're somewhere in between and we're just trying to find our way. But I also don't know if it's really fair to expect the manager to have an identity after 8 weeks in the job or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The comments felt harsh. As for Pat Bonner, I mean, that's second Sunday in a row where he's had a fucking howler. So, I mean, somebody just needs to fucking
take a mic off him.
Just, the most frustrating thing about it is there's probably quite a lot of young, talented guys in kind of the fan media world, and I'm not looking at any of us, but you know, beyond us who would go on Sports Sound and with a whole lot more passion speak really eloquently with some real knowledge of the game, and you're giving it to a guy who's not played football for 30 years and can hardly string a fucking sentence together.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately a dinosaur, is what you're saying.
It's not just Pat Bonner, it extends to Alex Rae as well. I mean, Alex Rae is one of the thickest cunts going. I mean, seriously, like he is just genuinely, honestly, like if Alex Rae came into my work and was looking for a job doing the mail trolley, I don't think he would pass the interview.
See, for me as well, like I watched the Rangers game last Thursday, and Alex Rae didn't even add any insight in the game. All he just said was "Yes, Ali," or "Totally agree, Ali," or "You're right, Ali." Like he offers nothing. It's actually scary that man's now in a managerial position.
Yes, everyone in that right. Instead of recording a podcast about Hibs last Thursday night, Mr. Lumsden sat and watched Rangers on BT.
To be fair, training was cancelled late, and I actually totally forgot that you were doing it. I didn't get my tea till later as well, so yeah. To be fair, I did erupt when Dortmund scored the 2 goals, so don't worry. I'm not a sympathiser.
Harry, we've tried to get some positives out of our attacking playing on the ball, but one huge positive yesterday, and maybe potentially under Malone, it's maybe becoming the consensus under Maloney, is the defence. I know you had a wee stat that you sent us yesterday. How impressed are you with the backline currently?
Yeah, no. Livingston game aside, I think that overall, when we don't make mistakes, we don't concede goals. I think that most of the goals we've conceded under Maloney have come through like on the ball mistakes as opposed to defensive mistakes. I think that defensively, we've not been conceding from the corners that we have been. I think with Macy in the last couple of weeks, especially, he's actually looked quite confident at coming out and punching balls and collecting balls. So I do think that Maloney's made a conscious effort to actually try and improve the defending. Because if you look at the goal we conceded against St Mirren, it was a mistake from Jake Doyle-Hayes, and then the goals we conceded at Celtic Park both stemmed from mistakes. So yeah, if we actually concentrate for a full 90 minutes, we look pretty impenetrable at the moment, unless your name is Livingston Football Club, who are just taking absolute names everywhere they go.
Even then, was it the second or the third one?
Campbell slipped up and gave the ball away.
Mistake on the ball as well, wasn't it? Was it 6 clean sheets in 11 games?
Yeah, 6 clean sheets in 11 games. Obviously, that does count for a lower league opposition as well, but you got to take the clean sheets when they come.
But then that would be 5 and 9 in the league.
Yeah,
which is
solid.
arguably better. Liam, Ryan Porteous, Greg did highlight he obviously had off-field issues and stuff on during the week. I don't know how much we want to talk about it, or look, we don't really know what's going on, but for him and Bashiri as part of a back four, I felt, well, correct me if you think I'm wrong here, I thought it was a back four.
So did I. Felt like a back four to me at the game. How impressed were you with the pair of them?
I thought they were both very, very good. I think with every passing week, my Ryan Porteous with Player of the Season shout is looking more and more nailed on, to be honest.
I'm on my list.
I thought Stevenson was very good again yesterday. Absolutely no complaints about his performance, but Porteous and Bashiri defended their box very, very well, especially for two players who maybe have been sort of, if you were going to have a criticism of them, it might be that their concentration levels are not kind of where they need to be for those top level centre halves. I think their concentration levels yesterday were excellent. Bashiri got caught underneath the ball a couple of times in the air, which I think is proven to be his kind of Achilles heel. But I think both of them, but defended their box very well. Maybe if I was going to have one criticism, it would just be how they passed it out from the back, how they used the ball. But I think it was difficult circumstances yesterday. For all kind of Maeda's flaws, he does press with real aggression and intensity, and I think they weren't really given a huge amount of time on the ball. So that was maybe a factor, but yeah, very, very good performance from both the centre halves yesterday.
Greg, you like to remind everyone that you're a centre half in your heyday. You might be past it now.
That's harsh.
What did you make of the defenders yesterday?
To be honest, they were aggressive. Should have sent a couple for a hot dog in the second half. I just think that it's totally night and day for when Jack Ross had them. They seem to be willing to throw themselves in the way of things. They seem to be willing to tackle, close down, be aggressive in the air. Just everything that we've been calling for the last 2 years. Really, Sean Maloney's managed to do in a few months. So what happens when you get a good manager that actually cares and wants the centre half to succeed. I think it's possibly down to Gary Caldwell as well. You know, his bag of experience under his belt. He's won things as a player and as a manager. So yeah, I think where the defence is at the moment is probably the strongest we've seen it for a while. Josh Doig's like a new player. Chris Cadden's still solid as ever. Porteous is colossal, and Bashiri's coming onto a game. If only could learn to head of the ball cleanly, that'd be good as well. But yeah, I think that defensively we look so much better. We don't look as nervous in defence. We look a bit more confident. So yeah, to be honest, it's just everything that we've been wanting, or I've been wanting for a while now. We don't concede silly goals for crosses anymore. We can defend. The goalie can come and collect. I think it was Liam maybe mentioned Samson. in January, possibly, saying that he maybe was part of the reason, part of the problem. It seems like Liam was right, and he was part of the problem because new goalie coach has come in and Macy looks like a totally different player. I don't know what you guys. I don't know what you guys think of that, but for me, I think that
since he came back, I think since he's came back in, he's been one of our better players. You look at the Arbroath game; he played well. I thought he played well against County as well, and no, it was really, really, really good at the weekend. I think Liam mentioned it in the first half. He came out and collected a lot of crosses. Don't think there was as much demand on him in the air in the second half. I was worried when he went down injured. If I'm honest, I would have just hooked him purely because that was our last sub interval. You know, like that was the worry for. You know, if we still had the opportunity to make another sub after it, then fair enough. But he then pulls out a fantastic double save, which, to be fair, the second ones went under the radar because obviously ultimately Maeda was offside. But not only has he saved the first one, he's got back up and right across the goal and saved it, I think, from potential Riley. I think.
Yep.
Fantastic save and instinct, I think, in it probably for goalkeepers at that point. But just you credit where credit's due. I think he's been really, really good since he's came back in. To be fair,
probably me and Liam have been the most vocal about him. I certainly think in recent weeks he's proved us wrong. I don't know if it's confidence. He must take a lot of confidence for the Arbroath game, but I think all in all, he just looks a totally different keeper. He wants to come out and collect things now, and so yeah, I don't think it's any coincidence that the goalie coach has come in and he's sort of changed the way that he comes for crosses, etc.
Right.
I've got a question on that. If Macy did get taken off and we didn't have a sub to put on, who would you have stuck in goals? For me, it's a coin flip between Rocky and Porteous, because both of them would just throw themselves at everything.
I actually mentioned this at the game, and I think your head goes straight away to Porteous, but there's absolutely not a chance you're taking a centre back out of the.
Deutsch, Christian Deutsch, ex-basketball player, 100% nailed on in goals.
I think it would have made the most sense with Dodge as well. He's just big, and we weren't leaving our box. So if we were doing to 10 men and all, then get the striker in goals. And
Chris Muller, though, those American football tangibles he's probably picked up in his life, they'd be pretty decent for diving about the box.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Always got to bring it back, Harry. Always got to bring it back.
All in all, deserved point.
Sorry?
All in all, a well-deserved point.
Can I give shout-outs to two more players that we've not really went into depth with? I'm going to stick my neck out on a limb and say I think he's personally been our player of the month. I think Josh Doig was fantastic once again. I think he's been very good throughout February. That run at the end, if he'd ended up scoring, would have been unbelievable.
Question: see if he just scaffed it into Joe Hart's hands. See, because it would have been a shot on target, would we have been a lot happier?
If it had been a right-footed shot, definitely not. But yeah, and then I think I don't actually think we've praised him at all really since he came in. But I think Jasper's been a revelation. Just the amount of energy and stuff and drive that he has when he's on the ball. I think he's been fantastic since coming in. I
agree with you entirely, except when you mentioned the word energy. I think he's got about half hour in the tank that he's blowing.
No, but like when he's on the ball in the first half, like he does just kind of explode onto it, and then he's on his debut, he just looked like this little. I do agree that as soon as it hits 70 minutes, whereas Bell just honestly with 10 men.
That was after half an hour at the weekend. Yeah. And to be fair, he was definitely deployed in a role that's been different from what he's had to do. Probably requires more. And look, he's still I thought he was blowing against County as well, and then he won the ball back and set up the Henderson chance. I thought he was blowing yesterday, and he done well for the chance that he sort of worked it well with Cadden. So what do I know?
He's one I think we're going to have to be really patient with, because he's definitely one of those classic football cliche kind of X factor players. He gets bums off seats, not a cliche, and he is just a joy to watch. He's really good when he's on the ball, but he's played like 20 first team games of football or something. He's coming to us very much as a kind of raw product, and it's up for us to develop him. If he stays here, I'm not necessarily convinced if everyone's fit, he's a starter every week for me. But when he's played, he's done really well. But I think, it's obvious for youngsters, but I don't think Hibs fans always maybe, understand the obvious shouts and just be patient with him, because he's not going to be. Wingers are fucking inconsistent players anyway, so he's not going to be 10 out of 10 every single week. There's going to be some weeks where he does turn in the odd stinker, but we need to stick with him because he's exciting.
Yeah, right. Well-deserved point. Any other business? right, we need to flip it on from Sunday. We're playing, if we play top of the league next 2 games, we're playing the bottom 2. We've not got a great record when we play teams at the bottom of the league. What do we need to do differently on Wednesday night? Out with the obvious hit shots on target, but how do we get these shots on target, Greg?
Balls in the box, balls through the middle. Don't be shy. Just ping it. Do not be shy. I mean, you're going to have a stronger squad. I think probably work it through the lines against Dundee. They seem absolutely dreadful at the back. I mean, I don't really know. They are shockingly bad. This is a difficult game for us, though, because this is definitely a game that we can slip up in 100%. Dundee on a Wednesday night. I don't know. I think we need to be brave on the ball. We need to take the game to them. We need to basically hit them when they're down, because they must be feeling absolutely dreadful at the moment. So for me, we need to be aggressive in the press, be aggressive, go forward, balls in the box, balls through the middle of midfield, just overload on either side, overload through the middle. Don't know who the striker's going to be, but we need to try and get as much service to him as possible, whether it's Doige or what. I think Doige maybe would be the best shout. Probably get Ewan Henderson running off him. He's quite fluid, so we just need to be aggressive.
Liam?
I don't think Dundee are as bad as the league table position would suggest. I don't think they're a great team, but I don't really think there's much in it between that bottom sort of 3 or 4 teams, if I'm being quite honest. And this is a stage of seeing where teams that are in that bottom sort of 3, 4 teams start really thinking about relegation and typically start upping their game towards the end of the season. This is the run-in now. There's only 5 games before a split.
Yeah, 10 games total.
I would think that Dundee will at some point put a run of games together, as most teams that are near the bottom do, where they pick up some points. So I genuinely think that whilst in our minds we should be going and winning this game, other than maybe last season under Jack Ross, typically Hibs teams have not performed particularly well away from home against teams that are battling relegation. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be if we do win it, it's going to be very much a grind it out kind of performance, because we are still going to be way, way short of what our first team would be. And my one concern, not to be too much of a naysayer, my one big concern ahead of Wednesday is where the goals are going to come from. No Kevin this bit. Just other than maybe a centre half from a corner, or Jake Bowhayes from 30 yards, 25 yards, I genuinely don't know where goals are going to come from for this team at the minute.
I've got in my head that we've got a stinking record at Dens. I don't know if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Obviously, we drew there earlier in the season, and I want to say the season they went down. I feel
a couple of wins though. I can remember.
I know we won there under Heche.
Then the Thomas Agipong game as well.
So we won there twice that season. But I want the season after that. I feel like we're on TV fairly regularly at Dundee. And I don't know. It's just that I've got in my head. I just feel like we've not got that good a record there. Harry, like we said, 0 shots on target against Celtic. The lads have raised concerns around where the goals are coming from, especially if Kevin Nisbet's missing.
Well,
enlighten us. Where are they coming from?
You know me, it's not all doom and gloom. Harry's going to make it happy. Well, I don't know if I've told you guys my hot take, but my hot take is I reckon that Ewan Henderson ends the season with at least 7 goals. I reckon that he's going to score a goal, he's going to hit the ground running, he's just going to keep banging them in. Because in theory, he already should have had at least 3. So I reckon his goal return is going to rocket up. So Ewan Henderson's going to get a brace, and then Porteous is going to score assisted from a Ewan Henderson corner, and then Doig, he's been hitting the target quite often of late, so he's going to get a goal. And then so I reckon 4, maybe 5-0. I'm not having it. Dundee pish, absolutely battered at home by Livingston. I think they're a worse team than Ross County, who we absolutely packed last week. We didn't concede against Celtic, so we're not conceding against these tubes. Absolute comfortable walkover victory, and it's going to be simple.
Smashing.
Better hope that it's the Dundee FC fan podcast aren't watching this, because that might get clipped and sent to Dundee, and they might bang it up on their Twitter if we're not careful.
Oh no, it's fine. I'll
And then you
get
can
the-
message them to take it down shortly after.
We do need to score goals, and
Thanks, Ian.
interesting that you mentioned. No, it's interesting that you mentioned you and Henderson. Do you all think he'll come straight back in the team?
No,
Aye,
No, what?
Stonewall. He'll be back in the team.
Greg, why not? And who starts for you then?
don't think anyone deserves to be dropped, to be honest. In my opinion.
Right.
And Josh Campbell and Drey Wright are both in the team. Even I don't think they should be dropped.
Right, well, that would be 10.
I'm gonna make a claim, right? So on this podcast, we've been critical of James Scott. We need to get over that, because he's going to have to play. Because we've got nobody other than Dodge, so he needs to play. He's going to have to play at some point. He's probably going to have to play a fairly big part if Nisbet is out. So I think he will be on the bench at the weekend if he's back from illness. I think we might possibly see him come on out left through the middle. I don't know, but I think we need to just get over ourselves. He's here. He's all we've got, really, to come off the bench. So, yeah.
Just play him ahead of Melkerson. Play him ahead of Melkerson.
Well, if they both recovered.
Well, I mean, it's a difficult one, because I don't think they really play the same position. And I don't think Melkerson's ready, based on what we've been hearing. So, it's a difficult one. However,
I think if we don't avoid the question and answer it, I think the answer's got to be yes. If you look at the evidence that we've had since Melkerson's signed, he's not had a sniff, but since the Celtic game, James Scott's came on almost every game.
well, the answer is yes, because Melkerson isn't ready by all accounts. Whether that be surface or adapting to the game or whatever, he's not ready. So we've got a player there that has top flight Scottish football experience, whether we like it or not. I don't think he starts though, but I don't know. I mean, I just wouldn't drop anyone for the weekend, to be fair.
Well, I've
we-
voiced
we-
charge to that. First of all,
you would.
First of all,
Harry.
I think that I would start with a false nine, Drey Wright over James Scott. I think James Scott should be nowhere near the club, and I'm going to die on that hill. I think the guy's had how many months now to get himself match fit and actually look like a football player that he's not. I'm never going to boo a guy for coming on the pitch for Hibs, and obviously as soon as he gets on the pitch, I'm going to hope him well. But he's done nothing to show that he deserves any form of minutes. I'd much rather stick a 17-year-old on the pitch that's going to try for 90 minutes than James Scott, who looks half-arsed every time he touches the pitch.
Well, but
Well,
Also,
that's
as a
not gonna be the
challenge,
case,
Greg.
Harry. That's not going to be the case, because you've brought him on already. So you're going to see him at some point.
I know. I'm just saying my opinion.
did he do well against us?
And do you know what?
I thought
he did okay, to be fair. I don't think he
Done all right.
really done it a lot, but I thought he done okay when he came on.
I think he done all right at Dundee away on his debut, but apart from that, he's not done anything to impress me. But Greg, a challenge to you. Greg, I've got a challenge to you. You said that you don't think anybody deserves to be dropped. However, you did say that offensively, we didn't do anything and it was not acceptable. And our most creative player, in my opinion, at the moment would be Ewan Henderson. So surely the obvious solution would be to try and slot him back into the team.
Yeah, but looking at the game as a whole, Harry, I don't think anyone deserves to be dropped. You can look at no shots on target if you want. I raised the point. However, I don't think we're bad.
You don't think Henderson would help create chances
them down. However, you're not playing top of the league. You're playing bottom league. Are you telling me that Hibs aren't good enough to get shots away against Dundee with that team? I don't think anyone deserves to be dropped, because I think everyone done their job excellently. I thought that Drey Wright was a driving force in the midfield, to be honest. I think we are good enough to go to Dundee and win with that team. I just don't think anyone deserves to be dropped after such a good performance. Whether we got no shots on goal or not, we didn't. But I just think that with that team, you can include Dodge in that. He has a striker, he has scored goals in the past, he has had a fairly decent record. Why would we change it?
I think with Nisbet's injury, see if Nisbet was fit, I would be in probably entirely agree with Greg. Wright would have done enough to keep his place over Henderson, probably, which was the team that played County. When Nisbet's injury, though, I think I don't think you can play the players we played if Christian Doidge is playing. You need
Yeah.
a different style of player in there. I think Henderson needs to come back in. I think probably Muller needs to start. You need players that'll. Again, I thought Drey was fantastic at the weekend. I really, really did. Is he going to offer you enough getting in and around the striker? I don't know. I think Henderson would give you more than Wright in that capacity, definitely. If you're playing Christian Doidge, you need pace and width would be and I would change the formation. You need to get Cadden back to wing back as opposed to full back probably. Like I think Doig and Cadden were probably at their quietest in terms of going forward that they have been for a number of weeks. Both very good defensively and still ventured, but we need to get back to if you're playing Christian Doidge, you need to get back to putting 40 crosses in the box like we did against St.
Also, can I just say I don't think we need Stevenson, Doyle Hayes, and Josh Campbell in the centre midfield against Dundee. Like to win the midfield battle against Dundee, I think that's just fucking. I think that's overkill, to be honest. Like maybe if you shift it around and Stevenson went to centre back and they pushed Doig and Cadden forward, that could work. But I just think like three of them in the midfield against Charlie Adam, that boy fucking
Max
Anderson, and aye, exactly. Like Sean Byrne. Like, come on. Like Charlie Adam can't run anymore. Like he's literally there to take set pieces and ping the ball for 60 yards. We should have more than enough in our midfield to deal with them. The issue for me is getting players to support Doidge. If it is Doidge that starts, and if it's James Scott that starts, he'll probably need players around him as well. Because I don't think he's the fully fledged target man either. Things are really difficult now in terms of selection, but for me, Henderson has to play on the ability, based on the ability that I've seen from him so far, and based on the likelihood that he's the most likely player to be involved in our goal. I think. I
was going to say, can we look at the chances that ultimately he's not scored? But you know, that age-old thing. I know he's not a striker, but strikers should be worried when they're not getting chances. Really, he's shown that he's capable of getting beyond the striker. I think at Arbroath it was a last-minute tackle that broke it out of his foot just as he was hitting a shot. He had his chances against Ross County. I want to say, did he have was it Livy? He had chances against as well.
St Mirren, he had a good chance, a couple of good chances against St
Mirren. So
the players that have been creating chances for us over the last number of weeks has been Cadden, Henderson, and Lewis Stevenson.
I'm going to pose a question here.
I was just sharp then.
Scott Allen.
No.
For talking about creating chances.
No. Debbie's stupid. That's my answer to that. He came on and done nothing again. He was all right at pressing, but apart from that, he done nothing on the ball against Celtic. I like Scott Allen as a person. I liked him as a player 6 years ago. He's not good enough for the current Hibs team. He's proven that time and again.
Another year gets added on to since Scott Allen, but Harry liked him. Like, did we even have Scott Allen?
I don't know. Not 2016. No,
yeah, we did.
So he was a cunt. He was a fucking huge cunt 6 years ago.
This is a family show, Ewan.
It's no.
My mum listens. She's family.
Greg, you were complaining there about not getting your say about the attacking players. What did you want?
No, to be fair, I just my comment I was just sharp in is because everyone just crucified me for what I said.
No,
to be honest, I'm happy to stand by it. I'll die on that hill. I don't care.
Do you think
it's my opinion? It's quite strong, I think. So I'm happy to die on that.
I think there is probably an argument to say players are going to be confident. I
don't see why Drey can't get up and support. Just my opinion. He can drift out wide. He can do whatever he wants.
Right. Score predictions for the Dundee game, because we're going to
get beat.
Football.
Because we've kept the same team. We're going to get beat.
8 o'clock. Greg's like, fuck's sake, why
do we not start you and Henderson, Maloney
out? Greg, score prediction.
2-0. Not going to be pretty. Yeah.
Liam.
2-1.
Harry.
I can't remember if I stopped at 4 or 5, but I'll go for 4. 4-0.
Goal scorers.
I would also like a Mark McGee meltdown again.
Yes. Like, boys, if any of you are going, I want one of you to get a selfie of Mark McGee and see how I get pictures of Bruce the next day.
Are any of us making it up? I am ruled out, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I've lost my time machine somewhere, so I can't travel back to the 70s. So I'm out.
So is this the first game that one of us hasn't been able to get to then this season?
So, I think it's first one.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's
I will be watching. It's my stepdad's birthday, so we'll be watching it in the house. Unfortunately.
If anybody's given me any notice, I would have taken a day off for it.
Can you get a train straight from London to Dundee?
I've got a Lou day I've not taken. I probably could, to be fair.
Fucking hell, Harry.
And if you want to spend your day coming from London to Dundee, you do you.
For a 4-0 victory, mate, who wouldn't?
Well, I mean, that's never really the way it plays out, though, is it?
We've all raised concerns around goal scorers. Harry's given us his earlier on. Greg Liam, who's given Hibs 2 goals.
Drey right double, then he's going to cup his ears just for you three.
He's going to say, you Harry.
I'm not taking that, by the way. He's been the
I know.
fucking biggest slagger at him.
I know.
I'm not taking it.
God bless Drey right. 5-year deal. 5-year deal.
Oh, yourself, Liam.
Based on what I just said, Ewan Henderson and Ryan Porteous, because I predict Ryan Porteous goal every week, apparently.
Isn't I'm going to go for 1-0 Hibs. Even less pretty than what Greg's predicted.
Who's scoring, Ewan? Who's scoring?
Christian Doidge will score.
That's silly.
Fucking-
What's your real prediction, though?
I'm sticking with that. Football for a fiver on Saturday. Easter Road is sold out. That's fantastic.
Well, I tell you what, right? Folk with a season ticket better go then.
This is what I was going to say. That's fantastic, and hopefully, if you can't go, you take advantage of the club's. Well, I can't remember what it's called. The ticket exchange. The ticket exchange that's on offer. To give up your seat to someone that maybe otherwise couldn't, and at that £5 mark can go, and hopefully all the tickets that have been donated and stuff get used up. And do you know what? Hopefully St Johnstone bring a good crowd as well. He's looking forward to getting back to Easter Road on Saturday. I know we've got a game, but a nice full Easter Road's always a little bit special.
No, what I think St Johnstone, but St Johnstone sell out the entire.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think they've sold it out, but they've
Half.
sold a lot. No, we've sold half. We've sold half the away stand as well.
Right, okay.
I think
So they've sold 1,700 tickets. Did St Johnstone take that many to the cup final when they won the cup?
No, I'm not. I don't know if they've sold out their away allocation, Liam, but apparently they've sold a considerable amount. So
what, against us, Liam? Nobody was there, mate. Don't be so silly.
No. We're the first time.
I seen that. I think it was like Greg Browning tweeted that they sold 1,400, which
He can get the fuck. He can get the fuck. Absolute sleeper.
Yeah, Greg. Idiot. Yeah, I think that's what he said anyway. So I don't know if he's true. Apparently, Liam doesn't trust him. So
Pish tweet for him. Absolutely pish tweet for him today. Like dreadful.
oh really?
Fucking going on about the standard of the league's being poor and
saying
Scotland's having a good season. Load of fucking drivel.
Hey, actually, I know we're
Absolutely drivel.
here, but see,
2 seconds. See, there was me being nice to him, and if he's pissed me off, I won't be happy.
So the tweet that he's put out is saying that only no team in the league's won 4 in the spin, I think.
No, 3 in the spin.
Nobody in Scotland's won 3 on the spin domestically. And people are saying the Scottish Premiership is shite this season because there's 4 points between us and County. Does that not mean the league's strong? Like, genuinely, does that not
It's
mean...
competitive.
Yeah,
It's competitive.
Yeah, no,
there's no difference between the 4th place team and the team in 9th. Like, virtually no difference over the course of the season. It's competitive. That's the whole point.
It does mean the league's competitive, and also he spells his name wrong, so I'm not going to. So just undo what I said there.
Just
42
tickets.
42 senior clubs, 4 leagues, not a single club won their last 3 matches. Only 1 club have won their last 2. Kelty, they've been scudded off Aaron Athletic 5-0 this season, so don't start. Only 4 clubs have picked up 6+ points from their last 3 matches. The 21-22 season full of shite. He wouldn't be saying that if he was top 6. It's his team that are absolute shite. They're tractor shaggers, and I can't wait till they get relegated.
Okay, Greg, that's a nice transition on to what are we going to see on the pitch on Saturday. Hopefully full stands at Easter Road. What do we see after a convincing win away to Dundee?
We'd just like to say, Hibs fans, 10 out of 10, clubs consider a club like no other, or anyone, everyone, which we know is a blatant lie. Hibs fans have donated a lot of tickets. They've paid £5 to donate tickets. Proper football club with proper football fans, in the most part. I'm glad to see that people are taking up the initiative, but it's a full stadium, and I hope that drives the boys on to a good win. We know we've had our problems against St Johnstone, we know that, but we are more than capable of beating them. It will be a sad day though. Melka will be coming back, and he will not be in a Hibs top, and that might need a couple of tissues for that. So yeah, it will be a sad day. God bless him.
Well, guys, I'm going to announce something. I don't want to call it a giveaway, but unfortunately, I can't make the game. And to be generous, I'm going to give my season ticket seat up for only a tenner. If you're interested, then
Have I made that
get.
I thought
Pardon?
you were coming. I thought you'd said
I was planning on coming up, but I can't make it anymore. So if you want to go to the Hibs game for quite cheap against St Johnstone for £10, my ticket can be yours. Just DM us on Twitter, and we can make it work.
Shut up, Shut up.
Come back.
Been spending too much time in London with the Tories.
No, I'm only kidding. On, I was looking at trains there, and I can't find any trains that aren't like an 8-hour connection. So unless I can find a flight, I probably won't be able to make it, unfortunately.
Well, I mean that's disgusting for Harry.
See what we were just saying. You better give that fucking ticket up on the exchange and get your £2.50 off your season ticket next year.
Right, well, you better watch that stinking attitude, because that was minging you, and that better not happen again.
See me saying that Hibs are good. Hibs fans are good for the most part. You are not in the most part. You are scum. Specky scum.
Oh wow, Elaine, go and tell him off, because he keeps on doing this to me.
reiterate,
It's no fair, Elaine.
Harry will
I'm calling
give
you
his
to
ticket
your
up.
mum, Greg.
Sorry, Mum. Harry will give up his ticket for nothing. If he asks for any money, just tell us and we'll knock the specs right off his face.
Liam, it's difficult. We've tried it before. It's difficult talking about a game there's a game in between, so we don't know what we're going to get for Hibs because injuries and that. But what have you made of St Johnstone this season? Look, they're toiling this season. They're bottom of the league. We'd scraped past them last time we played them at Easter Road. Sorry, when we played them at Easter Road and in Perth. What have you made of them?
I think
Just
they've improved a wee bit.
our best player and move on.
I think they've improved a wee bit as a result of the January window. I know they signed a lot of players in January. The form seemed to have picked up a wee bit on the back of that. They obviously signed a number of different players in a number of different positions because they really needed it. But I think I said this last time I spoke about St Johnstone's podcast. Everyone else I know who's watched them this season said that Witherspoon's the player they're really missing. He was the guy that made them tick and generally created quite a few chances for them. Without him, I think they've kind of struggled. I've been interested in keeping an eye on Nadir Chifchi because I kind of said that was a terrible signing on this podcast, and I wondered whether or not that was going to come back to bite me in the arse because he's kind of just one of those sort of mercurial players, isn't he? Like who's now probably in the sort of twilight of his career. I think his best days are well behind him. I don't really know what to make of St Johnstone on the basis that they did improve a wee bit after January, but then they were so bad going into that period that surely the only thing they could have done with a few new signings was improve.
Yeah.
I dare say they'll come and they'll be resolute and they'll be defensive and they'll get 11 men behind the ball and they'll try and score a goal in the counter-attack, but that's not really much of a preview because every St Johnstone team in history that's come Easter Road has tried to do that.
So what we're saying is they're just a little bit shiter at being St Johnstone than they have been in previous years.
Aye. Essentially. Like they haven't replaced McCann and Kerr. They're not, the players they brought in are not as good as McCann and Kerr. I think Cleary, the centre-half that they signed from the League of Ireland, is very much a kind of Liam Gordon-ish style, kind of meat and potatoes sort of defender. Maybe can play a wee bit more than Liam Gordon. Maybe being harsh on him there, but Hallberg's instantly coming in being probably their best player. So,
is it interesting that Hallberg's being used, and now I know you both were big fans of Halbert, but he's being used as this attacking midfielder. He scored 2 goals for Hibs. Didn't lay on too many assists. Like, does that sort of tell us everything we need to know about the way that they're set up?
When he played for Hibs, he was used as a replacement for Gogic or another defensive midfielder when he wasn't fit. Mark Milligan, who'd left.
Hibs didn't get the best out of him. Maybe St Johnstone will do, but let's hope that St Johnstone get the best out of him in the Championship next season.
Harry, St Johnstone, obviously Liam says they have picked it up a bit post January. February they were in their 6 games, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats, which is a marked improvement on December and January from them. We obviously are hoping to go into this game on the back of 3 wins out of 4, unbeaten in 4. 2 games combined, how important is it that we get 6 points out of these?
It depends. Like, if our ambition is to solidify 4th and put Hearts under a bit of hot water, then we need to get 6 points. Any less isn't going to do that. I think it's a real chance to put a marker down on where we want to finish this season. It is 2 teams that we should be comfortably beating without breaking too much of a sweat. I don't care if it's disrespect towards Dundee or St Johnstone. Neither of them are good teams, hence why they're in the position that they're in. As we touched on earlier, like, the league is competitive this year, and they're the 2 anomalies that are nowhere near competitive, and they're both terrible. They're in the position because they deserve to be. St Johnstone beat a really bad Hearts team recently that could only get points on the board because St Mirren got a player sent off for 60 minutes. Hearts are there for the taking. They're not far away from a meltdown. I think if we can win these 2 games, then, you know, if they slip up, then we're creeping towards them slowly but surely. I think this is a really good chance to build momentum and actually try and make something of this season.
Greg, same question to you. We've got the bottom 2, and then we don't know what's going to happen with Aberdeen. But after that in the league, you could potentially be looking at top 6 only opponents before the split. After these 2 games, we've got Aberdeen away, Dundee United at home, Hearts away. Then we'll see what happens in the split. But Harry's talking about catching 3rd. To solidify 4th, do we need 6 points in the next 5-6 days?
I think we need 6 points because we want to win games of football. You know, it's not necessarily about positions in the table as of yet.
Mm-hmm.
We are due to crucify someone, though. Let's be honest. You know, the signs have been there. I think we should be getting 6 points out of these 2 games because we're playing the 2 worst teams in the league. That's not how football works. But for me, we need to go and stamp our authority on these games, and, you know, you pick up 6 points, it puts the pressure back on others. We've seen how quickly this league changes. We can't afford to slip up. I think if we maybe get 4 points or something out of the 2 games, then it's not really good enough because, you know, you're playing the 2 worst teams in the league. But the other week we went for 8th to 4th in the space of 5 minutes. So
yeah,
this league is tight, and people can say kind of a go at the quality of the league or whatever. Like, seems to be the narrative that people like to use the last couple of years when maybe their teams aren't doing as well. For me, 6 points, no less, is acceptable.
Probably between us and Dundee United, I think, who's got the hardest fixtures between now and the beginning of the split. Looking at Motherwell's fixtures, they're on the same points as they've got Ross County at home, Dundee at home, St Johnstone away, St Mirren at home, Livingston away. That's a really good run of fixtures for Motherwell, and I think, you know, they obviously got a very well-deserved point at Ibrox yesterday, and whilst I was absolutely delighted to see the scenes at Ibrox yesterday, I think there was a wee bit of in me just thinking Motherwell probably looking like the team that's going to be the biggest contender for 4th when you look at those fixtures. Would contrast that with maybe you could say Aberdeen, who've got Rangers away, Hearts away, Rangers away, us at home, Dundee away, Ross County at home. You know, maybe you could make a case that they've got the toughest fixtures. I probably don't see Aberdeen picking up a huge number of points from then on, but they look like they've improved under Jim Goodwin as well. So I think there is going to be a bit of a battle here. And I said that 4th should still be the aim last week, and I stand by that. I don't think 3rd's gone now. I think we need to be realistic. Fourth place is what we're aiming for, and just getting into the top 6 initially has to be the first target, and then it's fourth place from now on in there.
Over the next 5 years, you've got to ensure you're in the top 6, because there's no way
exactly.
if you're and obviously that's stating the fucking obvious, but there's no way that even if you're going into top 6 in 6th that you're out yet.
No,
like
financially we have to be in the top 6 as well.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you need to be in the top 6 to get 4th, so we need to do everything we can to get in there.
But even if we scrape in there at 6th, say this running form, the running fixtures don't go our way, you're probably still in shooting distance in the
Probably
split.
only going to be 3 or 4 points max to 4th place.
Wait, if I was to push you all just now, it feels like we have got a little bit of momentum behind us. Look, it was a good win up at Arbroath, a good win against County, and we were decent at the weekend. Where do you see Hibs finishing this season, if you were to guess right now?
4th.
I would have to agree with Liam based on what we've seen recently. I think if you asked me before the County game, I'd say 6th, but at the moment, based on what we're seeing, the promising signs, although we're not the finished article, I think 4th would have to be where I see us.
Well, I'm going to put us one away for a full house and say 4th is where I see it. I think 11 points to gain on Hearts in 10 games, and I know you play them twice. It's not realistic, I don't think, because Harry, are you nailing your colours to the wind and saying we're going to get third?
Oh, I know. I get bored of you guys all samey, man. Honestly, same the slope Hibs. Nah, we're getting third, and it's going to be comfortable. Cakewalk.
Oh dear. Right, score predictions for St Johnstone. Let's wrap this show up. Harry, you've been fairly quiet tonight. You take us off with a score prediction for St Johnstone.
It's going to be 1-0. It's going to be crap.
just to clarify.
Tabs.
Liam.
So we're going to win 4-0 and then 1-0. Very good, Harry.
I'm a big believer in atmosphere making like a huge difference to players, and I think you saw that in the Hearts game, the Celtic game. I think that, and probably the Arbroath away game as well. Probably 3 of the best atmospheres of the season. Don't think it's any coincidence that those have been 3 of the best performances of the season. So I'm going to go 4-0 Hibs. I think we'll dismantle them. I think we'll have far too much for them. I think we'll score early, and the minute you score early against a bunch of cluggers like St Johnstone, I think you give yourself every opportunity to kind of open them up. So 4-0 Hibs.
Greg?
Actually, we're going to crucify someone. My prediction was 4-0, so thanks, Liam. But I'm going to stick with that. I think it will be 4-0, to be fair. Look, I honestly think we are going to crucify someone, and I think it'll be hopefully in front of a full house on Saturday against a team who are very up and down. They got a wee bit of a kick for their new signings, but Hibs have got far too much for them. So I'm going to say 4-0 on Saturday.
I'm going to say I like the train of thought of the atmosphere, and I think that could potentially go to both sides. I'm going to say 4-2 to Hibs.
Have St Johnstone never been involved in a 4-2 in their history?
The only games I've ever considered involved
never had
St.
more
Johnstone
than 2 goals in it at Easter Road.
Christ.
I'll say 4-2. Fuck it. I feel like I predicted 4-2 recently for another game as well. So we're all back in Hibs to get 6 points this week.
I like how we've just said that Hibs we don't know where the goals are coming from, but we're going to. I said 2-0 and then 4-0. Maybe I'm contradicting myself. Maybe down the slopes of the place for me if I'm sitting here contradicting myself every week. So yeah, we'll continue with it.
We call it a strong contradiction podcast.
We've got to. We'll start,
Greg.
Start questioning why Sean Maloney's not calling up 12-year-olds to the first team squad.
No, I mean, there we go.
I think realistically, Greg, you just need to start putting random charts on Twitter and pretending you're a football genius, because apparently that works.
Well, that is true. I mean, also there was me earlier saying that Henderson's a fluid player that will help us in the final third, but he's not playing on Wednesday. So yeah, I think maybe I should take myself and go to other podcasts that are about virtue signalling HSC.
Bro. Oh, right. So, didn't have anyone that's capable of scoring a goal. I've predicted us to score 5 goals in the next 2 games. Greg's predicted us to score 6. Harry's predicted us to score 5. And Liam's got us scoring 6.
However, the crucial thing is we are keeping clean sheets.
3 from Laidlaw, 3 from O'Connor. That's the best.
Laidlaw as well. He'll chip in with a couple, I think. So, to be fair, I don't know why we're not calling up like the under 12s or something now. So, it's ridiculous. The youth policy at Hibs.
Well,
the
important question is, will Pat Bonner think they've got an identity after this next 2 games?
Could not give a flying fuck what he thinks. He's a fucking geriatric prick.
I think Pat Bonner's illegitimate, to be fair, and Michael Stewart is just a dick. I think Pat Bonner called him a Hibs fan yesterday. That was offensive to me. He's not a Hibs fan. I'm a Hibs fan. He isn't. Also, Kenny McIntyre's a massive, absolute bell end and a half.
Aye, and I think that is a good way to segue into Guess Who?
Oh, Ewan, I love that fucking precision there with that segue. Absolute precision segueing from Ewan.
I
What else do you expect?
don't know what
He's been
segue.
practicing that. He's definitely been practicing that. Over to Liam in the studio, I heard.
Guess who's been away for a wee while? And it's backed by popular demand. Popular demand of who, you ask? Well,
Pat
that would be telling. That would be telling.
Guess Who?
I can't tell you who's been asking for it. But all I can tell you is the people have been asking for it. The people.
We are a people, apparently.
So, Guess Who? If you've never played it before, you've probably never listened to this podcast before, at which point you've probably already switched off by now. But what I'm going to do
tonight, has it?
is release 5 players. I'm going to give 5 clues about each of those 5 players, and if you get one of them right, you get 5 points. Okay, first player. I finished my career at Queen of the South.
Stephen Dobie.
Lies, he didn't.
Oh no, he's still playing.
Second clue. I played twice for my national team, scoring 0 goals.
Good start.
Third clue. I started my career as a striker before reverting to a midfield role later in my career. Fourth clue. I joined Hibs from Reading, where I made 227 appearances and scored 58 goals.
For Reading or Hibs?
For Reading.
Okay.
Final clue. The national team I played for was Australia.
I've not even got like a thread of a thought here.
Me neither.
So,
Australian Queen of the South.
You want one more clue?
Reading.
I'll give you one more clue.
Oh, okay.
Can I get back in if we're getting traditional clue?
I get the.
You sounded so
I've been
excited.
given the nickname Archie.
Can it be him though?
Can I get back in?
Is it Stuart Lovell?
Correct, Greg. It's Stuart
I
Lovell.
didn't think it was him. Like
Stuart Lovell.
He's an absolute tosser, genuine tosser.
Right. Next player. Aside from my time at Hibs, I only made 9 career league appearances.
Oh wow.
I played for 2 national teams.
Bit greedy that.
I stood at 201 centimetres tall.
Fucking much is how tall is that?
Bakalambi.
Correct again. Yves
Hold
Maccabi
on.
Matalambi.
Was it Belgium and Democratic Republic of Congo?
Correct. Belgium under
Very
23s and then Democratic Republic of
So else
Congo.
was his
no
league
less.
appearances for Swansea. Defo went to Swansea, didn't he?
He never played for him in the league. He played for KV Mechelen, Royal Antwerp, Ottolul Galati, and then 3 times for Wycombe Wanderers before retiring in 2019. Would have made probably cup appearances, but only 9 league appearances other than Hibs.
2019?
Quite telling, eh? Quite telling.
Wow.
Oh, he
Right.
ripped the arse out of his football career, Harry.
He's had you got to admire the commitment to being a backup goalkeeper there.
To be fair, the boy wasn't going to retire, was he? He's not even playing, but he's getting paid.
Third player. I played for Hibs, and only other clubs I played for were in the country of my birth.
You like that clue? You like
Yeah.
that?
That is a Liam
No.
classic, that.
He actually is he's a map shagger, eh? Loves the country.
Huge match. I'm currently still playing in English non-league football.
So he's English.
Duh.
I was born in Birmingham.
Definitely English.
Thank you, Ewan.
And he doesn't even participate in Guess Who, just chucks at folk.
I made 30 appearances for Hibs, scoring 1 goal in the 2011 to 2012 season.
Jonathan Grounds.
Incorrect.
Ange.
Nah. He
Okay.
plays for Birmingham.
Final clue. After 3 successive loan spells, I joined Hibs from Aston Villa.
Isaiah Osborne.
Correct. Again, this is getting boring.
Booked
Greg's
it.
on fire,
He's
man. Jeez. Oh, I'm just not getting
I'm
any right. Like,
sick of
just no-
being
just no
an
on form, like.
absolute
Was that
encyclopedia.
Was it
It's
Aberdeen?
getting boring.
it was.
His brother was at Aberdeen,
Aye, his brother signed for them. Man.
Isaac.
Hugo Forrest.
Possibly.
Don't think so. Although Forrest were signing absolutely anyone at that point, so probably.
Okay, next one. I've played for my national team at full international level, under 21 level, and under 19 level. I scored my first goal for Hibs in a 2-0 win against Inverness Cali on the 26th of February 2011. Third clue. That goal came after more than 100 appearances without a goal, and the player himself admitted not knowing what to do when he celebrated.
Is it Lewis Stevenson?
Chris Hogg.
Lewis Stevenson, well done. Very well done indeed. I don't know how you got them based on that on those clues, but well
Scored a
done.
deflection against Inverness. Aye, I don't. Aye.
Right.
You're absolutely ramshackled here. Like,
Right. Well, the final
You,
one.
you never participate though, Harry, to be fair.
you
final
participating
one
in
is a
rattling your
classic.
jaw.
Right. This final one's a classic.
Mum, are you hearing this?
Just reference, Greg's mum adores Harry. And, aye.
My mum thinks that my mum's favourite is Harry. He actually comes above me in the pecking order. So. Sorry, Liam. Let's get back to the
Thanks,
show.
Greg.
That's
Thank
okay, mate.
So this first final player, first clue. He was born in Glasgow and made his senior debut for Greenock Morton. Second clue. Joined Hibs from Ross County after scoring 6 in 24 for the Staggies.
Okay.
Okay. He left Hibs to sign for Cheltenham Town, where he scored 5 in 27.
What was the Morton clue? He made his debut at Morton.
Senior debut at Morton.
Born in Glasgow, senior debut at Morton. Fourth clue. Currently still playing with Partick Thistle.
Ryan Graham.
Would have had correct.
Oh,
Ryan Graham. Classic.
there we go.
Classic
Absolutely
Hibs hero.
smoked us tonight.
Classic Hibs hero. 4-1.
Mind has
Greg.
he though against.
Morton.
Aye. Oh, comment out. Oh, that was
But
beautiful.
mind us penalty against Bennett Rangers in pre-season that ended up in Sunderland.
He's currently manager of Partick Thistle women's team.
Ah, yes, I.
He's also actually got a very, very good goal scoring record for Partick Thistle,
Aye.
to be fair to him.
Danny
And for Wraith.
there.
And for Wraith. Yep.
Yeah.
Mind they scored that fucking World Day against us for County, I know. That was-
Yes, but that wasn't difficult at that point in time. We were giving goals away for nothing.
Well, guess who? Guess who's concluded the show? It's been a long one, I think, tonight, isn't it? We've been with us, so well done if you've managed to stay with us for all this time. Congratulations to Greg on winning another Guess the Who. It has been a bit of a free-for-all. It's been a bit all over the shop at times. If you've not known who's speaking, I'm the one with the really nice sounding voice. My name's Liam. Other three less so. Good night. God bless.
Cheers.
God bless.